Okay, so this story time I'm about to tell has got to be like top 3 most ridiculous moments of my life of all time. It's a great one. It's a real funny one to look back on. It's a crazy one. In the moment, it wasn't so funny though. It was pretty awkward in the moment. But I'm gonna tell you guys a story today that is just all around ridiculous, and I hope none of you ever have to deal with it in your life. So yeah, with that being said, I hope you like this. Leave a like on the video if you enjoy it. And let's jump into today's story time. So today's story time all starts off back in freshman year of high school, 9th grade. Now, I believe this was the first month of freshman year, or maybe the second month. All I know is that it was the very beginning. And I was still very much getting used to high school. I still didn't know all the people in my classes. I didn't know their names or anything like that. I didn't really know my schedule that good still. I was just kind of still adapting, right? Well, almost every morning in freshman year, I would have history. My schedule would rotate, so sometimes I wouldn't, but usually, the majority of the week, I would have history first. Now, I'm going to be honest, I really didn't like history class all that much. Not because of the subject matter or anything like that. It's because my teacher was one of those teachers that would just constantly, and I mean constantly, give us homework or projects to work on. Literally every day, we'd get multiple pieces of homework. Not just one thing to do, but 3. Or if it wasn't that, we'd have a project where we'd have to go home and work with our partners. It was just a pain in the ass all the time. Now, I already know someone's going to comment and be like, Austin, that's called fucking school. You get homework. I know, okay? I'm fine with homework. But this was literally triple the amount that I was used to in other classes. So it was a lot. Now, anyway, this story all starts off as a regular morning in history class. I had got to school. It was a Tuesday. I was in history class early morning. I was sitting in the back of the room because we didn't have assigned seats. So I just sat in the back. I was just kind of chilling there, waiting for class to start. And after about 2 minutes, class starts, and class for the most part was pretty normal. I'd say about 99% of it was pretty good. And then we got to the last 5 minutes of class. And this is where it really puts me in a bad mood. So my teacher proceeds to announce right before class is over that he's giving us a group project. And that it's going to take up to 2 weeks to complete, and that we're going to have to work on it outside of and in school. So I was basically going to be busy with history homework for 2 straight weeks, essentially. Now, I'm not going to lie, I don't even remember what the history project was about. I wasn't really paying attention, but all I knew is I had to do it, because if I didn't, he'd probably call my mom and tell her that I was not doing my work, so I had to do it. But here's the best part, okay? It gets so much better. So, we didn't get to pick our partners, because if we did, I would have picked a friend of mine or someone that I knew in that class, but we didn't get to pick. The teacher assigned the partners, and it was a 3-person project. So the teacher proceeds to go around the room and pick everybody's partners. Now, the amount of kids we had in our class, it wasn't enough people to put everybody in groups of 3. So when it got to be my turn, there was only one other kid left to be partnered with. The teacher picked me last and this other kid. So we literally had to go in a group of 2, which means we were already at a disadvantage compared to everybody else. Now, to be fair, the teacher did say he would give us a little bit extra credit because we were working with one less person, so that was good to kind of even out the unbalance of not having a third partner. But there was another part to this that kind of upset me. He put me with the quietest kid in class. Now listen, there's nothing wrong with being a quiet kid. There's nothing wrong with being shy. I'm certainly very shy myself, especially around, first time meeting people. But this dude, didn't talk. I remember after the teacher, made us partners, I walked up to him and I was like, hey man, my name's Austin, nice to meet you. And he, hesitated, and then he just goes, Jeremy. And I was like, oh, is your name Jeremy? He's like, yeah. I'm like, cool, nice to meet you, Jeremy. And after that, I just sat down next to him because he had an open spot at his table. And the teacher proceeded to say that we didn't have to start working on the project until tomorrow, that we were going to start it in class, and then after that, we could take it home and start working on it and stuff. So I thought, okay, good, I have a day to chill. I didn't have homework that day, I guess. So the rest of that day was normal. Fast forward to the next day. Same time, I had history class in the morning. We went in, we started working on our projects. Me and Jeremy were both working together. And by working together, I mean I was basically doing everything, which means I was doing everything wrong because I was stupid. And Jeremy was too shy to contribute, so I was just working on it by myself, basically. And after class was over, we were leaving, and I walked up to Jeremy and I was like, hey dude, so I don't know how you feel about this, but I really want to get this over with. I don't want to work on this for 2 straight weeks. Are you down to meet up after school the next couple days and grind this out and get it over with early? That way we can just chill and not have homework for a while. And he just nods his head yes. He doesn't say it, he just nods his head. And I go, okay, cool. Whose house do you want to go to after school? Mine or yours? And he just shrugs his shoulders. And I was like, well, I'll have people at my house all day because my mom hired people to like clean the basement. So want to do it at your house? And he nods his head yes. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, pull out your phone. I'll give you my number and then you can text me your address. And he pulls out his phone. I give him my number. He makes contact. He sends me his address. And I tell him I'll see him later. And we both leave class and we go about our school days. Now, I really wasn't looking forward to meeting up with Jeremy after school because, like I said, he just didn't talk. So I was kind of bummed about having to do the whole project alone, basically. But I got through the school day. After that, it was time to go to Jeremy's house. I didn't feel like riding the bus all the way home and then like biking to Jeremy's house. That would just make the bike ride farther. So I texted Jeremy before I even got on my bus. And I was like, yo, I'm just going to go straight to your house because you're closer to the school. So I'll meet you there in like 20 minutes. He's like, okay, sounds good. So I walked to Jeremy's house. I met him there. And upon getting to his house, I noticed something. He was way more talkative at his house. Like, I think it was just a matter of he felt more comfortable there and, like, not so socially awkward. So when I got there, like, he immediately said hello to me. He started asking me about the project and, like, what he could do to help. And he was working on the project with me, like, very 50-50. He was actually contributing so much more than what he was in class. So we ended up grinding on this project for about, I don't know, like 1 or 2 hours. And we ended up getting a lot more done than I thought we would, which I thought was great. Like, that's good news. And after that, we were both pretty tired and wanted to just kind of stop for the day. So we both called it quits. And after that, I hit up one of my brothers who could drive. And I was like, yo, can you come pick me up? I don't want to walk all the way home. He said yes. And then he would be there in like a half hour. So I had a half hour to just chill. I was like sitting there at Jeremy's house. And we're just talking, getting to know each other a little bit. I think we were talking about the fact that like we both had parents that worked late. Because I was talking about how my mom couldn't come get me because she got out at like 9 or 9:30. And he was saying the same thing. His mom got out at 10 at her job, but he was an only child, so he was just home alone all day. And that definitely explained why nobody was there while we were working, except us two. And after that, he proceeds to ask me, what do I like to watch? And I was like, dude, honestly, anything. I will literally watch anything. And then he goes, do you like anime? And I was like, I haven't watched a lot of it, but I've seen some of it, and the stuff that I've seen I really liked. He goes, oh, what have you seen? And I start listing off the animes I have watched. And he knew about a couple of them, and he liked some of them too. And I really wasn't prepared for the follow-up statement that he made. He proceeded to start telling me about this anime that he was watching that was really, really good. But then he said the main reason he watches it was because, and I quote, the main character had giant anime titties. And I'm like, try not to laugh when he says this, right? And I'm just like, oh yeah, cool, man, cool. And he just doubles down. He's like, yeah, dude, like, she's so fucking hot. And I was like, yeah, cool, dude. Because, like, what am I going to say? Like, oh, I agree. Like, I'm not attracted to 2D women. I don't care. I mean, if that's what you like, good for you. Whatever. Like, do your thing, dude. But, like, I'm not going to be like, oh, yeah, bro, I agree. Because I didn't agree. It was just like, cool, dude. That's your preference, right? Well, he just keeps going, dude. He's, like, tripling down on it. He keeps talking about how hot this girl is in the show that he's watching. And I don't even remember the show because my brain just blacklisted it the minute he said big anime titties. But I keep, like, nodding my head and just, like, being like, okay, cool, yeah, cool. And just, like, saying cool until he shuts up. And finally, after, like, quadrupling down on how hot this girl was, he stops. And he, like, goes on to the next thing. And then, like, 2 sentences later, he comes back to anime again. And I'm thinking in my head, like, oh, here we go again. And I shit you not, this dude asks me, who are your top 3 hottest anime girls? And I was like, And in my head, I'm thinking, like, dude, what am I about to say? And I'm just like, dude, I don't really have a list like that, ready to go. So I don't really have a list. And he's like, all right, well, make one quick. And I'm like, no, I'm not really into that. He's like, oh, okay, all right, fair. And then he goes on once again to different stuff that is not anime related. And I'm like, okay, I just need to like, just not bring anime up around this kid ever again. Because, he's a little freaky when it comes to anime. Now after that, the rest of the conversation was pretty much normal. I kind of just like put it in the back of my mind about the anime stuff. And I moved on with my day. I went home, my brother picked me up, and then the next day rolls around. And we both had plans to go back to Jeremy's house to work on the project again, which we did. After school, I met him at his house. We worked on the project for another like 2 hours, and then same thing happened. I hit my brother up, asked him to come pick me up, told me it would take about 30 minutes. So me and Jeremy are once again sitting on his couch in his living room, just chilling, just talking, hanging out, right? And for like the first 15 minutes of waiting to be picked up, our conversation was very, very normal. But then once again, he just comes out of nowhere, just left field, with a weird ass question. He goes, are you okay with locker room talk? Now, I think you all know what locker room talk means, but if you don't, it's just, talk that you have in the locker room, the more personal stuff. And I was like, yeah, man, sure. Now, I really thought he was about to start talking about some shit that was school-related, like maybe a girl at our school or someone that he liked. But no, he proceeds to ask me the most, not expected question, and I don't know how to say this without getting demonetized. He asked me what my favorite adult film category was. Let's just say that, okay? And honestly, if somebody I knew a little bit more than Jeremy asked me that, I probably wouldn't give a shit. But I just didn't really know Jeremy like this. I didn't know him that well, so it felt kind of weird to be having this conversation. But I answered honestly. And if you're wondering what it was at the time, it rhymes with filth. And it starts with the letter M, if that's not enough hint. It has since changed, but hey, that's still a solid category. Anyway, I tell him, and then he goes, can you guess what mine is? And now I'm just feeling uncomfortable, dude. I'm like, what is this conversation, dude? But I knew what it was. I didn't even have to think twice. I was like, I'm going to guess that your favorite category is probably the one that involves anime girls. And we all know what category I'm talking about. I don't have to say it. And he goes, bingo. Yeah, you're smart, man. And I was like, not really. I know that you like that stuff. And he goes, you fuck with hentai at all? And I was like, nah, not really. And he's like, have you ever tried watching it? And now I'm just so uncomfortable. And I'm like, no, I haven't. And I don't think I'm gonna. Can we change the subject? He's like, hold on. Don't lie to me right now. You've definitely tried watching it at least once in your life to see if you've liked it. Don't lie to me. And I'm sitting there like, dude, what? Am I being interrogated right now? What is this? And he's like, come on, just tell the truth. You've seen it once or twice, right? Now, chat, I'm not gonna lie, I have seen it once or twice. Actually, I've probably seen it a handful of times, but most of those times have been against my will through advertisements or through people that I've talked about on this channel that watch that stuff. And I determined I didn't like it, okay? It's pretty simple. So I told him that. I'm like, yes, dude, okay, I've seen it before, but dude, it's not my thing. That's all I'm trying to say. And then this dude goes, well, you're probably just not watching the right subgenres. I'm like, there's subgenres? What? And he's like, yeah, dude, here, check out this website. It's all dedicated to that, and it's really, really good. And he pulls out his phone and starts texting me a link. And I'm like, it's cool, man. You don't have to text. It's good. I'm not interested. And he just sends it anyway. And I'm like, dude, this kid is crazy. That's all I could think. So finally, my brother gets to his house. He picks me up. And that whole ride home, I'm just talking to my brother about the weird last 2 days I've had with Jeremy. And my brother looks at me and he's like, dude, you gotta get a new partner, man. This kid sounds creepy. And I was like, yeah, he kinda is. And he's like, dude, once is one thing, okay? But bringing it up again after you already made it clear that it's really not your thing, that's weird. And I was like, thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one that feels that way. Now, the next day rolls around. I go into history class. I got there early so I could talk to the teacher. I decided that I wanted to ask for a new partner. And listen, I know some of y'all might be like, dude, why don't you just stick it out? It's not that big of a deal. Yeah, he was a little cringe, but he didn't hurt you or anything. And I agree. He didn't hurt me physically, but mentally, that motherfucker was stressing me out. I was just there to work on a project together, maybe make some small talk. I'm not trying to have a conversation about anime adult film literally every time I went to do this project. I just didn't want to deal with it. So yeah, I was like, fuck it, I'm getting a new partner. So I went into my history class 10 minutes early. I went up to the teacher and I was like, hey, so I'm not too sure if this can be done or not, but I really want a new partner or to be put in a different group. And he's like, well, everybody's already partnered up and you're already pretty far into the project with Jeremy. So if I moved you now, it'd be kind of, hard to grade. And I was like, yeah, well, me and Jeremy just don't really get along the way I thought we would. And he's like, oh, what do you mean? What's going on? You guys arguing about something? And I was like, no, we're not arguing. It's just the conversations are a little uncomfortable for me. And he's like, what do you mean? What's going on? What's he talking about? And I had to stand there and explain to my teacher what Jeremy was saying. And I felt bad. I didn't want to have to snitch on him, but that's the only way I was going to get a new partner. And when I got done explaining the conversations that me and Jeremy had, my teacher, I have never seen a teacher look so horrified in their entire life. This dude looked like it looked like a part of him inside died. And it probably did, because, yeah. But anyway, he ends up moving me into a different group of people. He tells me I can go work with my friend, and I was really happy about that, because my friend's group was, like, killing it so far. They were almost done, so that was cool. And he told me he would move Jeremy into another group, and that would be the end of it, right? So yeah, after class that day, the teacher told me and Jeremy at the same time that we'd be getting split into different groups, and Jeremy seemed pretty confused. He was like, why are we getting moved into different groups? And the teacher, like, didn't know what to say at first. Like, he kind of stuttered, and I think that made Jeremy, like, kind of know that it had something to do with me requesting it, because he looked at me, like, kind of funny. But the teacher made up some lie on the spot. He was like, oh, I was just thinking about it, and, I think it just makes more sense to have you guys in a bigger group than to have just you two missing someone. And, it just didn't really work. Because as soon as class was over, I was walking out and Jeremy comes up behind me. And he, like, puts his hand on my shoulder and, like, spins me around. And he's like, yo, did you request a different partner or something? And I was like, all right, you know what, Jeremy? I'm going to be honest with you, man. I did. And he's like, why? I'm like, Jeremy, I think we both know why. I don't think you need me to tell you. And he starts getting, like, really offended and, like, really, really childish. Like, he called me a bitch after I said that. He's like, what, is it because you can't handle locker room talk? I literally asked if you could handle it, and you said you could. Didn't know you were a little bitch. And when he says this, some people hear it, and they start kind of, like, forming around us because they think there's about to be a fight. And now I just want to leave. I'm like, dude, fuck this. So I turn around and I start walking away. And he goes, walk away like the bitch you are. And I turn around, and I'm like, Jeremy, I don't want to have to air you out in front of everyone right now, but I will. And I promise you, what I say will make you look way worse than what you calling me a bitch will do. And he goes, say it. I ain't scared. And I'm like, goodbye, Jeremy. And I turn around and I start walking away because I didn't want to air him out. Also, this is like the most I've heard him talk in school ever, and so did everyone else. But anyway, I'm walking away, and this dude yells out, you're a fucking pussy. And I ignore him because I don't want to give him the attention. And then just as I'm about to turn the corner, just as I'm about to be like home free, away from him, I feel something hit me in the back of the head. And it fucking hurt. Like whatever it was kind of heavy. And then I felt something splash down my neck and down my back. And now I'm like, yo, when I turn around, what the hell am I going to see on the ground that hit me? Like I was concerned. I didn't know what it was about to be. But I turned around and I see a Gatorade bottle just dumped out all over the floor. This dude, Jeremy, threw like a 90% full Gatorade at my head, open. And like I said, it fucking hurt. And honestly, man, to me, personally, that's the same as like throwing a punch at somebody. So I turned around, I walked up to him, and I backhanded him. I didn't close fist punch him, because even though he threw a full bottle at my head and I really wanted to, I just still felt like that'd be too far, so I backhanded him. Which honestly, looking back, I shouldn't have done that either. Like, that's obviously not the mature thing to do, but, what's done is done. Can't really go back. But after I do this, he doesn't retaliate at all. He just, like, eats it and just, like, stands there staring at me with, like, a very creepy kind of death stare. And I was like, all right, we're done? Have a good one. And I turn around and I start walking away. And once again, he throws some shit at me. I turn around and his notebook's on the ground after hitting me in the back. Now, that didn't hurt very much. I barely even felt it. But I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm done. I'm done protecting this dude. So I just yell out. I'm like, hey, everyone, the reason he's mad is because I got a new partner in class because he kept talking about hentai. And a couple people in the crowd definitely started giggling. And I felt kind of bad for airing him out, but dude, he kept throwing shit at me. Now, I wish that was the end of it, but unfortunately, after I aired him out in front of everybody, he got very angry and he ran up to me and started trying to swing. And that is when it escalated to a full-blown fight. Dude threw a punch, hit me in the shoulder. Apparently, around this time, I was watching too much MMA because I went straight for a takedown, and surprisingly, it worked. Luckily, this dude was like around the same build as me. We were both pretty skinny guys, so I got him down, and then it was just like a full-on ground fight, which was kind of crazy. And within like a minute, it got broken up. It didn't last very long. In total, probably like 3 or 4 punches were thrown. Actually, me taking him down to the ground actually helped both of us, because if we stayed up and just threw punches, we probably got a lot more hurt. So honestly, he should thank me. I'm just messing around. But yeah, the security guards came over. They pulled us off each other. They broke us up, and immediately we both got escorted up to the main office. And let me tell you, I have never had a more awkward interaction with my principal ever. So the security guards sit me and Jeremy down in the principal's office, and the principal comes in, And the principal's like, what happened, guys? What's going on? And I was like, well, I requested a new partner in history class because Jeremy kept mentioning inappropriate stuff to me while we were working on our project. And then he got really mad, threw a Gatorade bottle at my head, and it escalated to a fist fight. And he goes, what kind of inappropriate things did Jeremy mention to you? What are you talking about? And I had to once again explain that Jeremy wouldn't stop talking about hentai. And he made the same face, like the same exact expression as my history teacher did. I also forgot to mention, they called in our moms after we got to the principal's office. So Jeremy's mom and my mom got to hear the same thing the principal did. And they also made all the same face. Like, it was hilarious how, like, they all made the same exact face of, like, a part of them just, like, dying inside. And I had to say something. I was like, I know that expression. That's the dead inside look that my history teacher just made. And Jeremy, like, looks over at me and gives me a really dirty look. And the principal's like, all right, listen, we do not tolerate fighting, okay? Like, under any circumstances, you guys fought, and that is not okay. And yeah, me and Jeremy both got the same punishment. We got 2 days out of school suspension and 3 days in school suspension. So we had to just like sit in a room for 3 days in school after that and just like do nothing. Anyway, my mom was a lot more understanding of the situation given the circumstances. So she was actually pretty chill about it. I didn't get in too much trouble. And eventually, after a few months, me and Jeremy actually were cool. We were able to like kind of like see each other in the halls and not be so hateful towards each other. I still think his anime obsession was a little bit too much, but you know, whatever. As long as he didn't bother me with it, I was fine. Now, there was actually a video of me and Jeremy fighting back in the day. I tried searching for it to put like on Twitter or something after this video was done, but I cannot find that shit anywhere. So I'm gonna message some people and see if I can find it. If I can't, sorry. If I do, it'll be on my Twitter. Go follow me. Now, after everything was said and done, I kind of felt bad for the way things went with Jeremy because a lot of people in my school now kind of knew him as like the hentai guy, which kind of sucks to have that as a reputation. But honestly, with how much he would bring it up, he probably liked the fact that people knew. I don't know. But yeah, guys, that is the story of me and Jeremy. And I hope you enjoyed it, because it's truly just a whirlwind of stuff. So yeah, if you enjoyed this story time, please leave a like on the video. I would really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I will see you guys all later. Peace. I'm in a bad mood.